welcome back to another edition of the Walk-Off Podcast, the Mariners Walk-Off Podcast. I'm Jordy Bott, joined as always with Juan Forno. Once again, another pretty fun week for us in Seattle, although almost non-consequential in my opinion. We'll start off with the big trade, bringing back a guy I love. I was sad to see him leave, but we got him back. Mitch Haniger cost us Robbie Ray. What were your initial thoughts on the contract? Because he had a bit of a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, I kind of went through it on this one. First of all, about fucking time they did something, as Canadians would say. With that being said, I don't know if I love what they did. I think the upside of a Robbie Ray midseason return is super, super valuable. You're getting a guy back that is only a year removed from being a Cy Young Award winner. 2 years removed, but his first season in Seattle, he was a workhorse minus that Yordan Alvarez home run. And then you're getting a guy back, in Haniger who, was a crowd favorite, but also was let go in free agency for a reason. I don't think there was a desperate desire to re-sign him, in the 22 off season. And the Giants are pretty quick to get rid of that contract as well. I don't think.
Yeah, for what he ended up signing, that it was an expensive contract for sure. Understand didn't match that in the first place, and he definitely didn't earn it when he was in San Francisco. That's for sure. What did he play? 6 games, if that? Oh, actually, he played way more than that.
11 at bats. He had a good enough sample size to know that his season was shit.
Yeah, it wasn't special. But once again, they could be nagging injuries.
Totally. If, it's a hamstring or whatever, then that's, a soft tissue thing that can be fixed pretty quickly. Hopefully we can see, an 80 RBI, 260 guy out of him. And I think the plan is to platoon him, to be honest, use him, Canzone, and possibly even Raleigh, who we'll touch on in the outfield in a left and right field platoon, maybe. Haniger and Canzone actually line up pretty well as far as platooning goes. So, that's nice. I just was hoping for maybe something a little bit more exciting, and Haniger feels like not it.
On the one hand, like, it was a boring outcome because you've got two guys. If this trade happened, in 2021 or something, all three of those guys in 2021 were having a season. This year, it's like, oh, this is just a big pile of nothingness. But then again, you've got two potential big comeback guys in Robbie Ray and Mitch Haniger, so this could be big for both teams.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're both actually 32 years old, so there is time for them to still show something. They're not so far gone, even though they've been around what feels like a long time. There's still time for them to turn it around, so who knows? Maybe we'll get a prime Haniger with a 285 average and 93 RBIs. That would be...
yeah, if we could get 2021, 2022 Mitch Haniger, super happy about that. The other thing, though, is he's such a clubhouse presence. Like, that guy is a Seattle Mariner.
Mm-hmm. And
like,
I think
the day the trade happened, he was on Instagram switching all of his pictures back to his Mariners days. Like, he's excited about it, which is nice to see. You want to bring in guys who are excited to come play with you.
Yeah, and I think it was super necessary. There's a lot to look past the just the stats, right? I mean, we lost so many clubhouse leaders in Marco Gonzalez and Suarez and even Teoscar, a good clubhouse guy. So it needed to be restocked. The team is very, very young. If I'm not mistaken, you'd be looking at a guy like Luis Castillo and then Julio Rodriguez on the position side at 22 years old. So bringing in a guy like Mitch to be a clubhouse guy and being a bat first guy is not necessarily a bad move, but I don't think the ceiling is all that high for how he outputs. It feels like a Michael Wong type or a Colton Wong type thing,
Yeah, it's one of those ones you hope you don't have to start him every day.
Yeah.
Right now, unless something magic happens and he ends up turning into the 2021 version of himself. I'm not betting on that, but it's good to have him on the bench.
But let me ask you this. So everything came out at the beginning of the offseason where, the focus was to reduce strikeouts, and everything they've done up to this point would suggest that that's the case. Haniger is not somebody that solves that issue. Haniger is a dude that will absolutely strike out at the same, close to the same clip as those other guys that they got rid of. So that part is a little bit frustrating, just based off of what they've told us.
Yeah, no, we're definitely starting to feel like that was almost a cover up, especially with the second move of the same day earlier this week, trading our boy Jose Caballero, no relation to Steve Caballero, the famous skateboarder. Don't worry, I checked. Uh, Trading him away for Luke Rayleigh, another guy, decent bat, very high strikeout rate. Like he was in the 30%.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was as athletic as he is. So like he brings a little bit of speed back because we do lose that. I think my biggest concern with this trade is now we're not going to get a death cab B for cutie night at T-Mobile Park like we did last year with Cabby on the team. So that's a missed opportunity. You know, they reference Calgary in one of their songs. Just saying, it's very upsetting. Um, I mean, Cabby was like a 26, 27-year-old rookie. I think Luke offers more upside with a bat for sure. He's athletic. I mean, again, like I think we keep saying this, it's not a bad move necessarily, but it's not moving the needle like the way that we think we need them to do so.
No, it's so funny because like you look at the team going into the offseason and the team now, and they've made a decent amount of moves, but you look at it, you go, is this team better or worse? And it's kind of like, oh, you could swing either way. Like there's no clear if they're better or worse than they were in the first day of the offseason.
I personally think they're worse right now, and I think Kelnick still had some ceiling to reach. I think is key. I think we lost defensively and took a step back defensively at third base at the very least. Um, and I don't think there's another guy outside of Julio on the roster right now that can go on a tear like Teoscar could. You know, I know it was very inconsistent, and you know he'd have the hottest month in all of baseball and then do fucking nothing. I don't think there's a dude that can match that productivity um, that Teoscar could just break into. You know, you couldn't get the guy out in August, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was August, maybe it was July.
Yeah,
And you could.
it was end of July, beginning of August. He was on fire.
Yeah.
And you speak of Suarez because I did just say I don't know if they're better or worse, and then I realized I don't think they have a third baseman right now.
I think right now it's Urias at third base, and who's the other kid that Rojas at second base. That we're not better. That doesn't make it better.
No, that's not making me go, oh yeah, we're playoff bound, baby. Once again, we're going to be losing a lot of 2-1 games this season with this lineup.
Totally, man. And then to have two outfield spots platooning, that's, you know, one is fine, but two is, I don't know. There's still time.
There is, and I saw on Twitter someone is speculating. X. I saw someone speculating that they're like, we're definitely bringing back Teoscar. They're like, it's going to be the funniest move of the offseason. He still hasn't signed. It still could happen.
You know, as the offseason continues to go on, and a team like the Blue Jays, you know, going out and signing or re-signing Kiermaier, I think Teoscar's market did not go the way he thought it was going to go. I think he was going into the offseason thinking 5-year, $100 million.
Yeah. And he's like, everyone's going to be clamoring for me, and it's kind of slow right now on the market.
Yeah, I know the Dodgers have been rumored to be interested in him, but they've also spent a ton of money. And I understand they're the Dodgers, but how much more can they spend in one offseason? Yeah, there's still holes to fill. I don't think the roster is complete. What are your thoughts about on this first trade with the Haniger and Desclafini, it actually not being a salary dump? Because initially,
that caught me off guard. That's what I thought it was too. Looking at the contracts, though, it kind of is, because by year 3 we come out of it with more money. So maybe it's in anticipation of re-signing guys like a Gilbert or a Kirby or a Raleigh. I think that was the motivation behind it, because Tony Disco's not getting re-signed. They are going to bring him in. He's got 1 year. They're just going to run out the end of that contract and then not re-sign him. Hope they can squeeze a couple decent innings out of him. I don't see them re-signing him at all. I don't see him, like, he's a 6th starter right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, I think
that's non-consequential. The Haniger one, yeah, like it's nice, but that's quite the contract he's got right now.
yeah, he's definitely overpaid to say the least. If this was a salary dump like we initially thought it was, then it's like great, okay, we got out of that Robbie Ray contract. We didn't even know how he fit into the rotation, but we're not saving money, so it does feel like okay. They know they got rid of Marco Gonzalez. They knew they got rid of Robbie Ray. They needed Desclafani to come back for depth. Young pitchers in the rotation, injuries happen, that sort of thing. But I do think that they are genuinely relying on these two guys that came back, and three if you include Luke Riley, to contribute. Like these are guys.
I think the Luke Riley trade, like once again, the trade itself, I'm fine with. I think the motivation behind that one is almost kind of like an insurance play in case some of these guys don't work out. Like in case Ty France starts hitting the way he did last season, I feel like they're like, okay, well, we've got a guy who's pretty much going to put up the numbers that we expect out of France. Like, because his numbers were very comparable to France, more strikeouts and a little more pop. So I think the motivation there is like, well, if France sucks, then we've got this guy to fall back on. If not, we'll just let the guy walk. Who cares? We traded not much for him.
Right. I mean, they're not giving up. They're not really subtracting from the roster at this point in the offseason. I know they did when they made the Kelnick trade and then, letting Teoscar walk and Suarez trade as well. They've been very active, but I just don't feel like they're getting better. I understand making these moves and clearing up some cap space, 2-3 years from now, because that rotation will get expensive. And I would love to keep them around and not let money be an issue. I just don't know what the plan is right now, and definitely running out of time now on this side of the new year. And the guys are going to head down to spring training here in Arizona in about a month and a bit. So something's going to happen quick.
Yeah, it's funny because it is quickly approaching. We don't realize it, and we're still not sure what's going on with this team. Like it feels like every trade now we've got more question marks.
Yeah. You would know better than me, but is there any kids that might be coming up that would contribute to the MLB roster day one?
Like not kids. All the guys that are like close enough kind of already got the taste of action last year. Like your Cade Marlowe's, you guys like that. Like our big prospect right now, Cole Young, he might get like a cup of coffee at the end of the season. I don't think there's any like high-end guys. I think Harry Ford's still a ways out. Yeah, I can't. The only one that I can see maybe like having a great spring training and forcing himself onto the roster was Emerson Hancock, but he also played major leagues last year. So the only one maybe is that Ryan Bliss that we got from Arizona in the Seawald trade. He could make some noise, and it's not like because he's a second baseman. He's second, third base, so he could. He's the only one I can think of that would really challenge for a spot.
Yeah, looking at the prospect list on MLB.com, Ryan Bliss is projected to make an appearance in 2024. He's 14th ranked on the list right now. The other name that could potentially be a factor this year is Jonathan Clase. He's expected to make his MLB debut in 2024, and he's the 8th ranked prospect. So this guy's actually...
And he's fun. Like, he's good.
Okay.
He's a speed demon. Like, he stole something like, 65 bases in the minors last year? Like, the guy can move, but the issue there is where does he fit in? Because he's an outfielder, if I'm not mistaken, and we have so many right now on the roster. So he's really going to have to force his way onto that team.
I hope he hits his way on the roster, to be honest with you. At least then we'll see some youth. There's some upside to that. It looks like last year he hit 267 in A-ball. So, nope, that was wrong. He hit 222 in Double-A last year. Yeah, he may not be ready, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we might see him in August or something. I don't think he's going to come out of spring training locking up a position.
Yeah, he could have very most, I think, fill like a Sam Haggerty type role.
Yeah, bring him off the bench, steal some bases, maybe get him a couple ABs in the dog days. But yeah, I don't think there's a rookie right now that's going to come blow our minds off and be like, yeah, we need this guy on the field today.
Yeah,
I think we're still about a year away from that.
not much projecting coming up, so they got to go out and do something, man. They have to do something.
Well, the concerning thing is, I don't know if you saw this, but Ryan Divish on a radio interview, he is expecting the Mariners to actually cut payroll. So I know at the beginning of the offseason, we were told, oh, we're going to have a bigger payroll. We're going to spend more. But Ryan Divish is saying that the payroll might be lower than what we entered the offseason with, which isn't surprising, but also sucks.
It's sad. It's really, really sad, to be honest with you, and pretty disappointing with the market like they are. I mean, we've hammered this home all off season. It's just infuriating. I don't even know what else to say at this point when it comes to money. I think from a business standpoint, I would like to think that these teams saw this coming when it comes to the TV contracts. It would be terrible business for them to not at least project this as a possibility and not do something to counteract the potential lost revenue. And then that affects the product on the field.
Well, what I'm wondering, and I think you would know this one, because they have, I think, 6 or 7 concerts at T-Mobile Park this year, and they also had that outdoor hockey game. Do the Mariners see that money, or because how much of the stadium is publicly funded? Do you know?
I actually don't know. If I'm not mistaken, I'd imagine that when they run those events, they get the rental fee from the artist for sure, whatever that looks like. I don't know. And then I imagine they keep 100% of the concession. That would be my guess. I don't know for sure how it works, but I know people will go in there and rent that venue, right? So anytime we see, a hockey game or a concert or whatever, that artist or the NHL, those people are actually renting the venue from the Mariners, the city. I don't know how much is funded through team, through private, through state. I can't comment on that, but
okay, because once again, like it's a busy couple weeks at T-Mobile Park, especially when you include the All-Star game. So once again, it's like this team is so profitable, and all you're doing is going out and being like, well, let's make a worse on-field product on purpose.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I mean, as business owners, especially if they're not, people that grew up, playing the game, and their main sole focus is making money and not winning ball games, then, I mean, what do you expect, right? Oh. All right, from here, I'm flying solo. Jordo, forgot to plug in his laptop, I assume. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stall long enough and talk to myself to this camera. But in the meantime, why don't I just talk shit about Jordy? Easily the worst chef I've ever experienced. Homeboy does not know how to cook. He drinks beer like a bitch. What else can I tell you about Jordy? My girlfriend is in the background laughing at me right now, bitching about Jordy. One time, me and Jordy went to Seattle, and I refer to him as Sexy Jordy, and the name Jordy can be multi-gendered, and she thought I was hanging out with a female and was very jealous. Let's cut this up and definitely put this in the episode. What could possibly go wrong? So anyways, Jordy was in Vegas, dick deep inside of a Chinese hooker, and he looked at me and said, "Go Mariners." It was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. Oh, and he's back. Hey.
I'm back.
I cannot wait for you to see the clips from this episode.
I can't believe you told my Vegas story. I was saving that for a later one.
Oh, there's so many more things I said that you are unaware of that will come out at the end of this.
Cool. I cannot wait to get canceled.
No, if anybody's canceled, it's probably me.
Just tell me I wasn't on the Epstein list. That's
you were one of the 4 redacted names, I'm sure. I'm sure you have more swing than Stephen Hawking.
I have a roommate in a 4-plex. You think I have the money to get my name redacted on there? I don't have the money to go on a flight.
I'll be honest with you. I'd be super impressed if it was just like Jordy Lane. I'd be like, I am. That is fantastic. I love that you hit record now, too. We're going to have to.
Yeah.
Mine.
Well, no, mine's converting. My other one, we're good.
Oh, okay.
So we're still good there.
Poor producer Mike Heath. This poor bastard.
Oh, he's gonna have an interesting week. That's for sure. That's gonna be fun in the messages.
I will say, he does not partake in the shit talking as much as I would like, and we need to change this. Oh, there he goes again. He's fucking gone. Oh no, he died again. I don't know. I'm just out here trying to talk shit to our producer, hoping that he'll see it when he edits, and then Jordy's just in and out. He's in and out like a 16-year-old trying to have sex for the first time. Gone, done. Clip that. We're posting that. Oh, the Eagles lost again. And I'm a Mariners fan. Being sports focused is the worst. Should I just do promo? You can catch me in Spokane, January 19th. And then I'll be in Kalispell, Montana, January 20th.
I'm back.
Okay, now I am definitely canceled.
I can't wait. I think we're also going to have to use your recording this time too. So
luckily it's going, so we're good.
That's all right. That's all right. I probably deserved it based on my computer skills right now.
I was just saying how you go in and out like a 16-year-old trying to have sex for the first time. Like that.
Well, yeah, I don't like to waste my time, man.
That's it. It's a race.
What a
sprint.
Busy guy, man. It's a sprint.
Cat Williams once said, it's a race. If I finish first, I win.
Oh, some Mariners, eh?
Oh, and then he says, "A." This is good. This is good. What do we have to look forward to this week? Anything going on, you think?
I don't know, man. After seeing that Divish interview, I don't have a lot of optimism that there's gonna be much movement on the roster. I think this is the team. I think we're going into it just really hoping for a big breakout season from like a guy like Canzone or something.
Yeah, and I assume that I guess that means that you feel like as though the Randy Arozarena dream is dead. I feel like it probably would have happened with this existing trade coming through.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. We might see a couple like trades for like AAA catchers or something like that, but I think I think the team is set. I'm not happy about it, but I think the team is set.
And so that means we're going into the season with a rotation of Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, Wu, Miller, Hancock.
And Tony Disco.
But that's 7 guys.
That's all right. I think, too, there's some insurance because Hancock has had injury problems in his career. Like, not even just last year. Like, he's ran into some injury problems before. And I think they kind of want to try and find ways to give guys like Gilbert and Kirby a little downtime. And I think Wu, they might want to season up a little bit. In case Miller or Wu go on those cold streaks, which young guys do, I think they're like, well, we've got a little insurance there. So I think they're going in with a 7-man and then just having Anthony Desclafini as the bullpen guy for a bit until they need him in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I think Desclafini is a long reliever in the bullpen, which is going to be actually a very super important role for him to play, especially with such a young rotation. There's going to be quick outings, and he's going to have to eat some innings to protect that bullpen. So I hope
he absolutely
fill that role well. Do you think the Mariners rotation will finish top 10 in ERA?
I'm going to go so far as to say top 5.
Top 5. Would you go top 3?
I don't think top 3 because we're going to get, like, once again, the back end of the rotation is so young. We're going to get a decent amount of stinkers out of them that's going to knock us out. But I think we're going to be number 4 or 5. I think Kirby's only getting better. I think Gilbert's going to have a better year than before. Castillo, it's going to be pretty similar. Miller, I think, is a guy right now. I think he's going to be solid and consistent. Wu is going to have a couple off ones, but I think he's also going to take a step forward. and be a big piece for us. But I think down the stretch too, we're going to start seeing a couple of ERA creep up a little bit too.
Do you think, and I don't know if you saw this report after the Robbie Ray trade, do you think Robbie Ray not being in the clubhouse is going to negatively affect George Kirby specifically because of how close they were and how much he meant to Kirby as a mentor?
I don't think so. Only because we're still bringing in a guy like Mitch Haniger. I think he's going to be able to rally up the troops, get that going. I don't think Kirby's that kind of guy either that's going to be too affected. I think he's a little more mature going into this year, so I think he'll be able to handle it and understand that it is a business. So it's the same with like when Carlos Santana left. We were kind of wondering the same thing about Julio Rodriguez, if he was going to have a rough year. And it did start rough, so maybe we'll see that. But as the year went on, he kind of figured it out. It's something you just got to accept as a player.
Yeah, it's really one of those things that's impossible to gauge how much of an effect it has on a person, and how much of an effect it'll have on the other end of them leaving too, you know. Obviously, these guys are young studs and we're projected to be what they are now. And hopefully they can keep growing. Hopefully, you know, the Robbie Ray dismissal is not going to affect the rotation. But I do think he played more of a part last year than people give him credit to. And it shows in that young rotation.
I think even he played more of a part when he was playing. Like, he was good for the Mariners, but you kind of feel bad because he's going to be remembered as the guy who gave up the home run and also had an absolute stinker against the Jays. I think we're going to remember him for the playoffs. A lot of fans are, and kind of be like, oh, that was a terrible contract. When in reality, like when we were in the dog days in 2022, he was pitching really well. He had a really good stretch there when we needed him.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I hate the trade for Mariners. I think we got rid of upside for more mediocrity. That's my take. I like the Cabby trade a lot more, though. I miss maybe potentially his speed. We'll see. And I hope we can go get somebody. I know at the start of the offseason, we were filled with all these fantasies of players we could be after with our young starting rotation.
Oh my goodness, I miss those days. So optimistic.
The good days where
we're getting Shohei.
No, we're not even in the top 5. I don't know. I got no other thoughts currently on this team or these trades.
No, I don't either. I'm hoping we get some action, but once again, I would not be surprised if that's what we end up with, if that's our team. But that's all I've got if you want to take us out.
That's it. That's all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what we got right. Let us know what we got wrong. Let us know who you hope could still end up on the active roster come opening day. As always, I'm joined by my partner, Jordy Bott. I'm Juan Forno. See you next week.